who we are as humans will show up in our business. And if we're not clear on how we show up in the world, if we don't have a self-awareness and understanding of who we are and how people perceive us and how we perceive ourselves, then that's going to leak into our business. And if we don't do the work, the shadow work, the ego work, whatever it is, to sort those things out, then that's going to eventually bleed into our company and how we show up as business owners.
Hello, this is Raymond Aaron, New York Times top 10 bestselling author, bringing you Respark Your Life podcast, the world's premier podcast to ignite the fire to allow you to live life on your own terms. Every single Thursday, I bring you a multi-millionaire, world-famous celebrity to teach you about the most fascinating ways in order to live a far better life. Every single Thursday, you just need to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. I'll see you every Thursday to Respark Your Life.
Yes, this is Raymond Aaron, New York Times top 10 bestselling author. But enough about me, for God's sakes. You know the podcast. I bring you stealth wisdom. Stealth wisdom. Now, these are people who are known, but only in their circle. And if you're not in their circle, you're not in their circle and you don't know them. And I ferret these stealth geniuses out and deliver them to you every single Thursday on resparkyourlife.com. And who is it today? Today is Deevo Tindall. Who is he? Good question. He's a powerhouse in branding, storytelling, and cutting through the noise with unapologetic truth. Deevo Tindall is a brand architect, speaker, and host of the Branding Laboratory podcast, where he helps leaders, creatives, and entrepreneurs stop performing and start building from identity. His no-fluff approach challenges the traditional rules of branding, showing you how your own voice, how to use your own voice to tell your story and create brands that are magnetic, not manufactured. Hoo-ha!
I've done a lot of podcasts. I probably do about 100 a year, and I have to say that is easily the top 5 best introductions ever.
Wow, top 5. I'm going to have to pull up my socks.
I love it. Well done. Good to be here, Raymond.
High energy. Nobody likes boring.
I
want to be high energy to pull you up, but I don't think I'm going to have to pull you up. I think you are ready. So I'd like to go way back to when you were a kid, toddler, who knows, high school. When did this first come to you? Like you didn't, like when you were like 6 and big people said to you, what do you want to be when you grow up? You probably didn't say a magnetic leader of people using their own voice. You probably said you want to be an astronaut or the president or something. So when did this idea first come to you?
Well, that's a good question. I think the idea only really came to me in the last few years, to be honest with you, but I have been doing it for about 15 years in the entrepreneurial world, but I wasn't call it branding. And I was doing it for 15 years in the corporate world, but I wasn't also calling it branding. So at the center of what I've always been doing is sort of telling stories for people, whether it was in the corporate life, whether it was in my entrepreneurs. I own a photography agency and a videography agency. And so I've been telling stories through visuals. And it wasn't until I started, I would say around 2000 and really like 2016, I started seeing a shift in the photography world. This is when cell phones started to become really powerful tools for photography, and everybody had cameras and everyone was taking content and social media was taking off. And so I started to see a shift because everybody was creating their own content, and I was still doing work for all my clients, but I noticed that they weren't really using it in a capacity to tell their story. So I started asking them, hey, Raymond, I just did a really cool photo shoot with you last month. I haven't really seen any of that content. Did you like it? Or was there something wrong with the photos? And you're like, yeah, man, I just love it, but I don't know what to do with them. I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to go with this. I don't know what I'm supposed to say on social media. So that's where it sort of began. In like a very purposeful motivation was to help people take the content that I was creating for them and then tell a story with it in a more strategic, purposeful way. And so that's kind of where it all sort of come together.
So instead of just taking pictures, you started asking them more deeply, What's your story? What differentiates?
Well, I was already doing that. That's how I've always done photography. If you were to go back to my early wedding photography days and portrait days going back, 15, 20 years ago, you will see that in every situation, I always sit with my clients before I do photography and I just get to know them a little bit. I want to understand how they're going to use the photos. How do they show up? Are they shy? Like what makes them tick? All of these things, right? So that when I'm with them, I can draw out their real personality behind my camera. And so I was always sort of like poking and prodding and like reading between the lines. I just wasn't calling it officially branding at that point. Does that make sense?
But now it's the center of what you do.
Yeah, it is literally the bedrock of everything I do. It's telling people stories with purpose, with soul, with conscience, with kind of coming at it so that they can differentiate themselves. So they're not just like throwing up spaghetti noodles on the wall like everyone else is doing. They're not just creating content to create content. And in the process of really being purposeful about not just your content, your photography, and your visuals, but your story itself, your messaging. Like, how do you show up on the web? How do you show up on the social? How do you show up in person? How do you dress? I did a workshop last week, a keynote, and there are all these entrepreneurs and founders in this session for this meet and greet keynote, and half of them were just dressed in like casual wear. Some were in shorts, and I just sort of reminded them, like, you are the brand. How you show up is how people are going to receive you. So if this is how you want to show up in shorts and a t-shirt, that's fine, but just know that's how people are going to receive you and create a perception around you. So your brand is everything. It is literally everything on your potential customer's journey. Every point that they can interact, see, feel, taste, smell, that's your brand.
Right. Well, we are two macho males because I teach branding, but I guarantee that I do it completely different from how you do it. So I am fascinated, and I'm sure my subscribers are fascinated. So give me an example. Give me a real example of a guy who came in and said, I don't have a brand. I don't know anything. I'm making money, but tell me what brand is. And what did you do for that guy?
Yeah, great question. So this is how I do it for everybody. Everything starts with the discovery, and that discovery is a 2 to 3 day intensive workshop where you come into my studio or my office, and basically, like a therapist, you lay on my sofa, metaphorically speaking, or unless you really want to lay down, and I have a deep dive into everything you are. Who are you? How do you show up in the world? What do you believe? What are your philosophies? What are your values? Where are the gaps between where you are and where you want to be? And that's not just professionally, that's personally. Because if you're an entrepreneur or you're a solopreneur or you're a small business owner, there's a very good bet that who you are as a human is going to be imbued in who your business shows up as well, right? You are going to be your leadership style, your philosophies, your customer service, all of that is going to take place in your business. So everything starts with that. And so once the discovery is done, I take you through sort of like a strategy session on how we can create your messaging. So to answer your question, sorry, I had to get that plug in there just so you sort of had some context. I have an individual right now who's in the real estate world. He is traditionally was a broker for deals between land and then people who want to buy the land and then whether invest in it or build on it, et cetera. And one of the gaps that he was seeing in the market was it was just sort of a one-to-one relationship, but there were multiple buyers. But he didn't know how to communicate to the multiple buyers, and he didn't have a strategy on how to build that out. He didn't have a message that would resonate with the different levels, the different stratifications of his industry. And so what we've done is we've completely re-engineered how he shows up with his messaging so that when he's talking on social media, when he's showing up on podcasts, when he's on LinkedIn Lives, whatever it is, his messaging now speaks to the different stratification layers within his business model. Does that make sense? And so now by speaking their language, not just your language, you're able to connect and nothing gets lost in translation. So when somebody hears this, sees this, they're like, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. Give me another example. These are delicious.
All right, let's see. What's another client we're working with right now? All right, we have a client who is she does injectables. So she does nutrition injectables through IV fluids. And she's a certified nurse and has spent the last 20 years basically injecting medicines and anesthesias and things of this nature. And she wanted to take a more holistic approach and start using vitamins and nutrients and injectables to sort of change people's lifestyle and their natural living style, if you will. And so Really, we launched her business from the ground up. She had no business or had no experience in running a business. She was a first-time entrepreneur. And so sort of the same approach, brand discovery, find out who she is, what's the value that she brings to the world, what is it that she wants to offer, create an offer if she doesn't have one so that it appeals to the right audience, do market segmentation so we specifically know who she's speaking to, who she's not speaking to. And then we created an entire brand around what she does. And so one of the things we found out that didn't really exist in her space was the idea of a mobile clinic. And so we built a mobile clinic. Yeah. So we built a mobile clinic around her service where she now comes to your home, your office, and we built all this for her so that she now shows up in your space so you don't have to leave. You can be in your office, and we set up all these collaborative partnerships with organizations and corporate offices and buildings and stuff where she'll just show up with the mobile IV clinic and people will just come down on their breaks and get their vitamin B, their vitamin D, whatever it is they want. And so now she's like the mobile IV girl. And so that's sort of like the brand that we've created for her.
Which she would have never expected before your discovery.
She had no idea where she was going to go. She just knew that she didn't want to work in the corporate world anymore. She wanted to become a corporate refugee like us, and she wanted to add value in some way, shape, or form. So this was her experience. This was her expertise. So we took that and created a storyline around it so that she can now deliver that to a larger audience.
Very exciting. And tell me about the income. What happens to their income in the realtor case and the injectable case?
Well, the realtor case will remains to be seen. We just are in the middle of launching that brand right now. But in terms of the other one I was talking about, she walked away from the corporate world. She's now living fully self-sufficient, and her husband is now working with her and just running her own business and making money and living the life of her dreams. So yeah.
Very sweet. These are really sweet. So you talk like a big macho alpha guy, but you're really into lifestyle and making sure that your clients love what they do. So you have a huge heart. I love that about you.
Thank you.
Really obviously.
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't know if I'm a macho guy, but I am a big ex-football player, so I do probably have that physical stature. Played college football, and so yeah, I'm a big guy. But I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. I do genuinely believe that who we are as humans will show up in our business. And if we're not clear on how we show up in the world, if we don't have a self-awareness and understanding of who we are and how people perceive us and how we perceive ourselves, then that's going to leak into our business. And if we don't do the work, the shadow work, the ego work, whatever it is, to sort of sort those things out, then that's going to eventually sort of bleed into our company and how we show up as business owners. So it's really important to sort of work on both.
Tell me, what is the number one, absolutely most satisfying part of your business?
Man, that's hard to say number one. I think really for me, I have been blessed with the opportunity to meet people from all over the planet through my podcasting, through showing up as a guest on your show, just having the opportunity to meet and help other people build their dreams. I mean, it's a really humbling but satisfying accomplishment to say that I took somebody's idea that was just literally floating around in the ether of their head. We extracted that. We put that on paper. We uncovered it and unraveled it and re-engineered it. We created a strategy for it. And then we implemented it and executed it so they could go about living the dream that they had only before that had kind of like locked up in their mind space. And so I think that's probably the best way to say that.
I've been coaching for 42 years. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's a humbling and empowering experience, isn't it?
Yeah, and I always have a little bit of self-doubt before I enter every single coaching session. I wish I could get over it. And it says, maybe this is the first guy you can't help. Like, how do I know? How do I know I can help all these people? And that brings me to my next question. What is the one skill that is your best skill to ensuring that you help people?
I think my soul and my intuition.
Wow.
Yeah.
Soul, intuition, man, those are great answers.
Yeah, I'm very empathic in terms of sort of being able to sort of meet people where they are and understand their chemistry and how they think and how they process things. And no two people are the same, so it's really important to sort of understand that chemistry before you get involved. Because yeah, you may not be able to help everybody, but you can at least understand what you're getting involved with and be able to be better prepared to sort of understand the subtleties and nuances of that relationship.
Wow. Now, I think you might face the same problem that I face right. I've been on stage since May of 1983, well over 40 years, and I love it. I just love it. I speak all around the world, at least before the lockdown. And now I speak all over the world by Zoom, which is a little easier on my lifestyle. And I love it. I don't want to do anything else. I found the center of the universe for me. And you obviously have too. But is that what you're going to do when you're 60, 70, 80, 90? You're going to still keep doing this? Or is there something new ahead? What is it for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't answer that. I can tell you where I am right now. I'm trying to remain mindful and present and sort of be able to focus on the things that I'm working on. I do have other projects that I'm also working on. I just launched my first retreat, which is coming out in November. I'm really excited about that. I'll plug that in the end if you don't mind. I'm also working on something that I want to be like you when I grow up. One of the things I started doing new is speaking and really showing up on stages as well. I found out about 20 years ago that I really enjoyed being in front of an audience. I'm not sure if that's my athletic performance background and sort of being in front of a large crowd and stuff. But I like performing and I like helping and sort of showing up in that space. So I'm really working a lot on that. I don't know if this is my end all. I don't really know. Right now, I am in the game. I'm still able to serve people. I'm still able to add value. People still kind of like me. So I'll play in this sandbox for a little while and we'll just see where it goes. I just don't know, to be honest with you.
Kind of like you. I love you.
Thank you.
We were neighbors. We'd be best friends. We'd be in the backyard right now over a barbecue.
I want to go to that cabin of yours and chop some wood, man. That thing is cool. I have this like inner cabin fantasy of just like chopping wood in a forest reserve somewhere. That's like sort of like I actually do chop a lot of wood out here because I just love like the idea of like slamming into a piece of wood. It's very cathartic for me.
Right.
Good exercise too.
I have lots of trees here.
All right. Well, I'm waiting for the invitation to come visit then.
You please, whenever you're in Toronto, you just give me a call.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, I mean it. I would love to spend more time with you.
That's great.
I have a question for you that you are unable to answer.
Okay. Thanks for setting me up for failure.
No, you can't fail, but
Okay.
you never prepared yourself for this answer.
I haven't prepared myself for any of these answers, so go.
Okay, here we go. Would you rather be a fortune cookie or a birthday cake?
Birthday cake.
Oh, that was fast. No one's ever answered so fast.
Birthday cake affects more people. There's generally more people in the room. More people are happy. More people are celebrating somebody. You're the center of attention. The cake is next to the center of attention. Everyone's looking at you and like, oh my God, this cake is going to be so good. And it's his birthday. We're all going to sing happy birthday. And it's like, the birthday cake. Yeah. So yeah, birthday cake. Plus the fortune cookies always have whacked out messages.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think they're getting worse with time.
They're written by AI now. So it's fortune cookie AI. So there's no soul to them anymore.
Oh, that's probably true.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it is. Yeah.
Wow. Well, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned in this business?
Perception is reality.
Tell me what that means.
No matter who you think you are, or no matter what value you think you're adding, or no matter how you think you're showing up, if the person you are supposed to be serving and adding value for doesn't feel the same way, then there's a disconnect. And so you need to be able to understand, is the disconnect in the fact that our values are misaligned and we shouldn't be working together? Or am I just completely disillusioned about the value I'm adding and I'm not adding the value I should be adding? So it's really important to have a clear understanding again of who you are and how you show up in the world and what it is, the gift, and what is the gift that you want to give, and make sure that the people who you are serving are clear on the value that you're supposed to be giving them, so that when you do deliver it, there is a matched expectation to the value that you hope that you are delivering. So I think, yeah, perception.
Very good answer. I had a fascinating example of that in my life.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
My wife was in a mall and a guy came up to her and said, "You're Karen. I recognize you from Raymond's Facebook post." She said, "Yeah." "You're Raymond's wife." "Yeah." "I don't like him."
Oh, okay.
My wife said, "Why not?" "Well, he was teaching a group of about 300 people, and I waited my time, and I finally got up to speak to him in person at a break. And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, you look startled." And my wife said, "Yes." And he repeated, "He told me I look startled." And my
Okay.
wife said, "Well, what does that mean to you?" "Well, it means he's a big shot and I'm a nobody." And my wife said, "No, that's starstruck." He didn't say you were starstruck. He said you were startled, like wow or oh or something.
That's funny.
And the
Yeah.
guy just walked away, and we have no idea whether he accepted the new definition or whether he still doesn't like me. But I was doing my best. I was just saying, I was just responding to a feeling that I got. And because of that, I thought I was being nice. I thought I was being human, thought I was creating empathy or emotion between the two of us. And yet I turned him off without realizing it.
Hmm. Well, maybe he's listening to this podcast when it goes live and he'll
We
receive it.
can
And
only hope. He'll say,
yeah.
"That was me. That was me." Oh my gosh, that's fun. I never
And
thought.
now he will be very startled.
We can only hope that he knows what that means now. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
that's a cool story.
So tell my subscribers about your retreat, about your service. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for that opportunity. So, I've been very purposeful over the last, we'll say, 5 years to change the trajectory and the community that I'm surrounding myself with. And that's my clients, that's my romantic partners, that's my friends, that's the people that I grow with and learn from and be inspired by. Because one of the things that I've noticed in my own self is that I wasn't really putting myself into sandboxes where there was communities that inspired me, right? So whether it's masterminds, whether it's going to retreats, whatever it was, building a community around myself. And so I've been very, very purposeful about that, and sort of behind the scenes been preparing over the last 5 years. I've gone to, who knows, 50 to 100 different retreats from around the world, just kind of gathering information and seeing, what did I like, what worked for me, what didn't work, what were people's feedback, all this stuff. And it was sort of surprising my takeaway from this was that there are a lot of lonely people that are founders, that are CEOs, that are leaders, that are performing at very high levels, but they don't have the community, the bedrock foundation of people around them to support them. And they're craving that. They're craving connection. They're craving like-minded connection, right? Because we're typically the doers, we're the leaders, we're the founders, we're the visionaries, right? And we're leading people, and we're always doing that. And so, but we don't have a community around us of other people just like that we can lean on and talk to and hang out with and be friends with and be romantic with and all those things, right? And so I set out to create this foundation, this space where people can come and it's going to be multiple times throughout the year where they can come and engage with each other. And these are founders, these are visionaries, these are entrepreneurs, these are leaders, these are CEOs that can get away for a few days, put everything behind, and just engage with other like-minded people. And so I've got 4 keynote speakers that are going to be at this retreat. They're going to be doing interactive workshops on mindset shifting and purposeful planning around your business, building relationships, all these sorts of things. And it's all centered in the middle of Mexico, just outside Tulum, in this magical Indian Mayan jungle that is thousands and thousands of years old. And we're going to be there for 4 nights, 5 days. And we're going to be communing and doing yoga in the morning if you want. There's spiritual work, there's business work, there's community work, there's journaling, there's time on the beach. And then every night we're going to have these long table dinners under the lights where we're all just going to be engaging with each other and sitting around a campfire and doing all the things that people do when they're in communities. And it's just sort of centered around the whole idea of, not to get biblical, but sort of this idea that's always stuck in the back of my head when I read it when I was like 5 years old. In my family reading session, my dad used to make us read the Bible every night, was when 2 or more people are gathered in his name. And I've always just loved that idea. And it's a metaphor for like the power when people come together, right? And the stuff that just compounds and explodes and grows, and thoughts and ideas and collaborations. And so my idea is to build this incubator where people like us can go and have these just mastermind sessions with amazing people, and then build new friends, new collaborators, maybe new business partners. Who knows? Maybe your next partner is there. Who knows? And we're going to be doing these throughout the year. And the first one is November 3rd through November 7th, just outside Tulum, Mexico.
Wow. How do they get there?
You can go to my website, thebrandstoryteller.com, navigate to the little button up at the top that says the Alchemist Retreat, and then bibbity bop, bibbity boo.
Say the URL slower.
It's thebrandstoryteller.com. Thebrandstoryteller.com.
Got it. Dear subscriber, if you're intrigued by what he said, go there. It sounds fascinating.
Thank you.
You sound fascinating.
Thank you. You're invited. Come check it out. It's a very small group. We're only allowing 40 people in. I think we've got 12 already booked, so the list is growing. But yeah, I want to keep this small and intimate and very community based, and so that you'll have an opportunity to meet everybody there and engage with everybody there. And the speakers are going to be part of the community. They're not going to be sitting up on a stage somewhere where you can't access them. They're going to be eating with us and drinking with us and communing with us and all the things. So
thebrandstoryteller.com.
yes, sir.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. You're my hero. I love you.
Wow, I sure hope you enjoyed that fascinating episode. Please make sure you've subscribed, and please tell your friends if you like it that they will probably like it as well. For your information, this experience, this service, this podcast has been sponsored by the Orbit Coaching Program. All of my friends, all my world famous speaker friends, all have coaching programs. Mine has been independently rated as the #1 high-level coaching program. You cannot purchase it. You have to audition for it by me personally. If you're interested, please email me at respark@aaron.com. respark@AARON. Say that you're interested in being considered for the Orbit Coaching Program and include your cell phone number so that I personally will call you back.